Political critic speaks of Parliament's adjournment. Forum to discuss development agendas. And works adopt a better bridge program.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Sunday's news. With Parliament adjourned to August, the Marape-led government has played a game O'Neill is too familiar with. O'Neill had made similar moves, adjourning Parliament to 12 months before the 2017 election, avoiding a vote of no confidence. But now, with the economy contracted by 3.8%, will they put their political differences aside and help rebuild the decline in economy and improve the struggling health system?
The economy has plunged, the government has lost investor confidence, people are losing their jobs as the Marape government loses its grip in managing a global health crisis. These are among some of the reasons put forward by the opposition to overthrow the Marape-led government. But hopes to reach James Marape have fallen short as his government quickly adjourns Parliament sitting to August 10, 2021 after sitting for just 2 days when Parliament resumed on the 20th of April. The reason for the adjournment is the risk of COVID-19.
COVID-19 and its damage and ravage to our country in the health sector as well as the cross-cutting issues. It affects our economy, it affects our law and order, it affects our construction industry, it affects our companies who operate to contribute to the economy. It has now become a cross-cutting development challenge.
MPs who Michael Kabuni, a political science lecturer at the University of Papua New Guinea, says while the Marape government uses COVID-19 as the reason, the adjournment of Parliament to August now safeguards Marape from a vote of no confidence. He explains that by July 30th, it will be exactly 12 months or a year before the national general elections. A vote of no confidence happening within these 12 months will mostly likely result in dissolving of Parliament and the elections brought forward.
If there is a vote of no confidence against James Marape, and if it's successful, the Parliament will dissolve and the elections brought forward. Now, the reason why that's never been the case in Papua New Guinea is because half the MPs lose the election every time, without exception.
People's National Congress Party leader Peter O'Neill is not new to this technique, applying it in 2016 to remain in power amid countrywide protests for him to step down. The matter was taken to court by then Deputy Opposition Leader Sam Basil, with the Supreme Court recalling Parliament on the 12th of July 2016, but luckily O'Neill survived the vote of no confidence and went into the 2017 national general elections. Kabuni said the Marape-led government still has time to make up the 63 days required to sit for Parliament in a year, but the gesture of adjourning Parliament sees them avoiding accountability.
What's happening right now is the executive effectively avoiding accountability. So irrespective of who we support, right? Irrespective of who we support, this is wrong. For the executive to actively avoid a vote of no confidence. And I understand that they used the argument of COVID, but then you look at the argument.
O'Neill said they will go to court if the Parliament is adjourned, but have yet to indicate if they have filed anything before the court.
But it is only responsible for an opposition that we are in to hold the executive government accountable for its decisions and its actions in managing the affairs of the country. And it is the Prime Minister's first obligation and responsibility and duty to the people in our country and to Parliament that elected him, that he is held accountable for the decisions that he makes and how he manages the country. That is why we are trying to move this motion of no confidence, because we can see for the past 24 months where our country is heading to.
Jack Lapower Jr., National EMTV News.
The Department of Works is aiming to extend the current 10-year bridge program. Works Secretary David Wera says most bridges built around the country have lived their life. Wera says the recent bridges completed along the New Britain Highway is an example of the two current bridge programs embarked by the Works Department.
While roads have been the focus for maintenance and rehabilitation, bridges have been overlooked time after time. This has seen most declining in state. The Works Secretary says the current 10-year bridge program comes in two parts.
One, as I've said, is funded under the ADB and World Bank, ADB and EIB. And an example of this is the 12 bridges we just completed on the New Britain Highway.
Secretary Wera says the shift from Bailey Bridge program is to align new bridge structures to new adopted road design and plan. He says the bridge program will begin to replace old bridges in all major highways around the country. Wera says the department is also keen to extend the program.
In order to meet the highway standards, we're looking at composite two-lane bridges, resilient to the current weather conditions we are facing. So the designs allow for us to make the bridges become weather resilient, and those are now built into the new bridge structures we are putting up on the main highways all around the country.
In recent reports by ADB, a better bridge is a dominant enabler to connect people, with bridges providing a pathway to access markets, thus having some sort of economic value to people in the country. The Works Secretary has urged studies to involve upgrading and better ways to build better bridges in the country.
We have emphasized strongly that they include the bridge component as well as the studies they're doing on the roads in the project readiness and economic and social impact studies they're doing to make sure that bridge component is now built into the program as well.
Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
Over 10,000 kina worth of goods and PPEs were donated to the NCD police on Friday. Local company Vitis Industries, through its Mohsin Plaza business, donated cartons of water, hand sanitizers and face masks to the NCD command to support their COVID-19 operations in the city. The donation will go directly to police officers who are out on the streets enforcing the new Plapasin plan. NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Gideon Ikumu, whilst thanking Mohsin Plaza, said community support is what the constabulary needs, especially during this pandemic.
Situation that we have never faced before, COVID-19, a pandemic. It's affecting the world over. Particularly in NCD, it is really affecting livelihoods. It is really affecting businesses. It is really affecting how our community lives. And with the new normal, we are redefining the way we do things, or business, or live our lives in the city. Not only here, but elsewhere. It is causing a lot of anxiety. It is causing a lot of fear. It is causing a lot of social tensions in the community and creating all sorts of issues. Police, with the ongoing issues with manpower and resources, we can only help to look after our community when we have help coming from business houses like this. And I thank you very much for that.
The 4th Karamoy Conservation, Agriculture and Cultural Show will be on again this year. The events will showcase the culture through traditional dances and educate on conservation initiatives. Agriculture will also be highlighted with cash crops like cocoa, coffee making their debut at the show.
Over 5,000 people from nearby districts and around the country are expected to attend the 4th Karamoy Conservation, Agriculture and Cultural Show. The aim of the show is to educate and promote ecotourism-related activities to the outside world. In officially launching the show, National Cultural Commission Executive Director Stephen Kilanda presented a support of 10,000 kina towards the event.
This year's motto is to connecting with community. Since the COVID-19 is disturbing most of our activities at the national and the provincial level, we decided to bring the festivals and cultural shows down to the village level and down to the LG level and down to the rural settings. So what you are doing to bring and develop the festival at Karamui in Chumbu, we are really happy to partner with you.
Karamui Nomane district is the largest district in Simbu province. Part of the show's major focus is highlighting the area's natural wonders and conservation efforts, with the festival part of a major push to have 160,000 hectares that surrounds the Simbu region declared a conservation zone. Event coordinator Chris Jamie says COVID-19 measures will be strictly followed.
And our plan was approved, and then they support our show, including diesel as well. So I think we are the only show in Papua New Guinea that we have COVID plans for us to do. The other good thing is Karamui is far from the city, so it's less risk for the COVID to pass on. Yeah.
And there will also be a lot of entertainment.
Kenoka is the highlight of the show. So you cannot find any Kenoka from 1 point, maybe approximately 100 meters, they cannot across the train. So that's the show highlight.
According to the National Cultural Events calendar, the show is scheduled to take place in November. Lilian Sopera Kenea, National EMTV News.
After the break, we'll bring you this week's a closer look at NHC issues in Morbe's capital, Lae. Details after the break. Welcome back. The National Housing Corporation is currently being investigated by the Special Parliamentary Committee on Public Sector following a deal with a company owned by a naturalized citizen, which involved evicting tenants in Lae to offset NHC debt. The committee's inquiry follows numerous media reports on evictions in Lae. It was brought to the attention of Lae MP and Minister for Lands, John Rosso, by concerned tenants through a petition addressed to the Housing Minister, Justin Tachenko. As part of the inquiry, the committee has asked to meet with the owner of KC2, Mei Lin, in Port Moresby on Monday, 26th April. This week, we take a closer look at the KC2 NHC deal in Lae.
A tussle over state-owned houses in Lae has become the center of attention over the past 3 weeks following dealings between the National Housing Corporation and a company owned by a naturalized citizen.
I don't know why my name was mentioned.
The case between the company KC2 and the NHC has raised serious questions about the conduct of government officers allegedly selling of properties. Last month, 2 families were evicted from this property at Lae's Common Street. When we arrived at the scene, there were guards securing the area. When we asked who contracted them, they named the company KC2.
The previous management has sold some properties to KC2.
We met with the NHC Regional Manager Andrew Agui and the Acting Provincial Manager Matthew Limu, who gave us reasons for evicting the tenants. They said the sitting tenants had outstanding rentals. When we asked them what would happen to the vacant property, they said the NHC management in Port Moresby would make a decision to hand it over to Mei Lin, the owner of KC2. This was to offset debts that the NHC had with Mei Lin after she bought a NHC house but wasn't given the property.
And it's the prerogative of the management. Whether we sell or we lease it out again, it's the administrative function of the National Housing Corporation. And I don't have the authority to say whether we sell or we release again to lease out again. So we are awaiting for the management to come back to us on the next course of action.
Some of the sales has been done some 4 or 5 years back, and the purchaser is so keen to take his property, get his property, and there was no one to assist. So what we are doing is we have been assisting them to take vacant possession. That is the prerogative of the NHC to give them vacant possession.
Agents all kisim kay money blame, all blame money. So you mean what? You mean bad?
This is not the first NHC property in Lae that has been sold to KC2. In 2018, the families that lived in these units were evicted. They were long-term tenants and the families of 2 public servants, Levi Korakipa and Amos Tarali. This man, Lucas Wipe, claimed he bought the property 4 years earlier.
But me pay my 500,000 to National Housing Commission, half a million, and contract of sales, total transfer, everything, and all it was all giving me. So total me all him.
However, the matter listed before the court was between the 2 families, the Korakipas and the Taralis, versus KC2. The KC2 NHC deal that suffers from the current eviction caused tenants who have been victims of NHC evictions to write a petition calling for investigations into the NHC Lae office. They met with Lae MP and Minister for Lands John Rosso and handed him the petition addressed to the Housing Minister Justin Tachenko.
The victims of systems not being done properly, and we have to hear both sides of the story. But as a member for Lae, I'm very, very concerned about this, and I will definitely, if there's any impropriety, I will definitely bring it to the attention of the Housing Minister.
All eviction to be ceased, blanket ban to evictions in Lae City, number 1. Number 2, titles transfer to long-term tenants. NHC to work with Lands Department, na give him title, you go back long all this family.
So we are going to conduct a preliminary investigation into this to get the facts in regard to what is happening.
A week later, Northern Governor and Chair of Special Parliamentary Committee, Gary Jufa, responded saying the committee would investigate the NHC issues and would refer the matter to the Housing Minister with recommendations for them to take action.
We have spoken to the Managing Director, Acting Managing Director, Mrs. Elizabeth Mawada, and the Minister, and they have both been very cooperative. They've given all the information. We met with Ms. Mawada, and our inquiries indicate that the National Housing Commission does have some issues, but the Executive and the Minister are taking necessary steps to rectify these issues. So
he said one issue of great concern is how state properties under the National Housing Corporation are purportedly being sold to individuals. Governor Jufa's statement on the media forced KC2's owner Mei Lin to respond to these reports. She denied purchasing the current property. However, she confirmed the KC2 NHC arrangement made to offset the debts NHC has with their company.
How they look for the house and give it to me is their business, not my business. I'm not NHC. I'm not suffering. Whoever pay can't even move in. I need my money back. Oh, give me the house, that's all.
She's apparently paid the funds but not received the properties or titles. And this is where the confusion came up, where these management of NHC in Lae tried to compensate and ensure that we get this property sorted out quickly.
On Wednesday, Housing Minister Justin Tachenko responded saying the KC2 NHC deal is illegal. He said the deal was made during the previous management under John Dege. The current eviction in Lae is just one of several other evictions that EMTV Lae has been covering over the past 4 years. Most of the evictions are done to vulnerable families, and the reasons often given by the NHC is because of rental areas. However, the office doesn't have a modern recording system. Minister Tachenko said, as a state agency, The NHC needs to collect rentals to function. According to Tachenko, tenants owe the NHC millions of kina. He said if NHC evictions are being conducted based on rental areas or illegal occupation, they are justified.
People are having a holiday living freely in government National Housing Corporation properties.
In response to the petition by NHC tenants in Leh, Tachenko said the cases are being investigated and the department is taking stock of NHC properties, starting with Port Moresby and Leh. Because some tenants have been found to be occupying houses illegally and making illegal purchases with NHC officers, it is important to identify and work with cases that are genuine.
That is currently being done at the moment. The investigation process to ensure the right tenants are given the property is very important. There's a lot of con people out there trying to steal properties underneath genuine tenants.
He added that officers implicated in the illegal sale of NHC properties will be dealt with. Meanwhile, the Special Parliamentary Committee has requested the owner of KC2, Mei Lin, to be part of an informal parliamentary committee hearing in Port Moresby on Monday, April 26. This is part of the committee's inquiry into the National Housing Corporation and KC2's deal.
National EMTV News continues with more stories after the break. Welcome back to the news. The Central Students' Union from the University of Papua New Guinea will be hosting a forum in June this year. This is an initiative of the Central students attending higher institutions around the country to discuss development agendas and address social issues in the province. Yesterday, the students hosted a fundraiser in Port Moresby.
The purpose of hosting the forum is to set a platform for concerned citizens of Central Province to discuss and present alternative solutions and development agendas to educate, empower and unite the province.
The forum will be about, we're trying to create an avenue where we can have our government, elected members, our bureaucrats, people who are concerned with the interest of Central Province and our students to sit down and discuss development agendas, discuss them, how we can go about in addressing these issues, and basically is to get the students involved so the students have their say on how they want the development of the province to progress.
Early this year, Central students attending higher institutions raised a serious number of concerns to the provincial government with regards to school fee components. Following a number of petitions signed by all Central students attending universities and colleges around the country, the petition was presented to the governor. This paved way for students with the idea to host forums and discuss such issues.
We had a bit of a problem with the provincial government in the beginning of this year in regard to school fee, and then that was just one issue which we were trying to address. And we found out through addressing this one issue, we found out that there were other connotating issues like all interlinked together. So we didn't want to, protest on the streets or, react like that. We wanted to set out like a good platform where we all can sit down and discuss. So that is why we came up with the idea of having a development forum.
With funding being one of the areas of concern to address social issues within the province as well as development agendas, Governor Robert Agarobe, who was present at the event, highlighted some of these current underlying issues that brought to the attention of the national government, including the current saga in the slice of the 10% GST revenue between NCD, Central and MKA.
This money that's coming in, the component of GST that's coming in, is, like I said, it's 3 million a month. We never used to see that type of money. Now we're getting it. It comes into the internal revenue, and this will be captured in the budget. With the structures that we've got already, like we say, health, education, sports, and then you look at in the social sectors as well. National government only gives us a minimum amount that keeps them functioning, but not enough money to actually sustain or improve the quality of these institutions. With this type of internal revenue coming in now, we can then capture them into our existing plan and put in the qualities that we need.
Governor Agarobe contributed 5,000 kina towards the hosting of the forum, which will be held on the 7th to the 11th of June this year. Suli, National EMTV News.
St. John has deployed 2 extra ambulance officers to Kokopo, East New Britain to assist with the PHA's COVID-19 operations. The deployed team will integrate with St. John's ambulance service in Kokopo. St. John has also deployed extra medical equipment and PPEs. The extra staff will help St. John to provide 24-hour emergency ambulance services in the province, including the transport of moderate and critical cases of COVID-19. St. John's ambulance station is temporarily co-located at the Kokopo fire station. Meanwhile, St. John has brought forward the commencement date for ambulance services in Lae City. This early start is to help the PHA with its response to increasing cases of COVID-19. The advanced deployment team comprises 4 ambulance officers. The team is led by Chief Superintendent Anderson Pom. 2 more recruits are expected to join the Lae team next month. The ongoing training is overseen by St. John paramedics and specialist doctors. The ambulance service will be stationed at the Lae fire station while land is being sought to build a more permanent regional headquarters. Although no cases of COVID-19 have been reported in Enga's Pogera district, the district COVID-19 Task Force Committee has taken a proactive approach. They came up with the 14 measures and efforts to combat the virus in the district. This includes trading hours for businesses and public amenities like markets to be open at 8 a.m. and close at 3 p.m. daily. A public address was conducted at several locations in the valley and the neighboring areas, including Pogera Station, Payam Township and down the West Enga Highway within the Laga Pogera electorate. Community-based Restoring Justice Initiative, RJI, continued its support for the committee when it provided fuel to the local police so that the awareness efforts continue. A basic hand wash station has been set up at the Maip Boom Gates checkpoint for highway commuters. Other stakeholders have volunteered and are supporting the awareness efforts as well. While most of us celebrate our birthdays by asking for expensive gifts or throwing a party, a business owner celebrated his birthday by feeding St. John ambulance staff at the Tarama Aquatic Center. Eddie Salazar is the managing director of GEMS Group of Companies. Yesterday was his 46th birthday, and on his big day, he went out of his way to help others. Yesterday, Salazar rallied his team in Port Moresby and visited the Tarama Aquatic Center to give out 100 food packs and drinks to the hardworking staff of St. John Ambulance who are stationed there. He explains that this is a family tradition.
It's always been my tradition, in our family and for myself as well, to just always give out because I'm a philanthropist actually, so I always want to help out. So instead of me spending that money for my birthday celebration, I decided to just have this kind of activity for frontliners.
While Salazar and his team were supplying food at the TAC, the same was also being done over 2,000 miles away in the Philippines.
So they're doing gift giving in the Philippines and also gift giving over here in Papua New Guinea.
Salazar is urging other multinational companies to join in on helping the health workers in any way they can. He says that it must be done out of the goodness of their hearts and not for profit.
I encourage all the companies, especially the multinational companies. I know that they have a good heart and they are willing to participate in this kind of event like community service. So not just only because of pandemic or not just because of marketing, but of course it should be able to come from their heart, from all those funds that they have, whether extra funds or whether some funds that they should be able to divert to helping people, especially this pandemic.
GEMS Group of Companies is also in the process of acquiring medical equipment from the Philippines, which will later be donated to hospitals around the country. And Chukai Sports is next. Details after the break.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League is advocating on vaccination. The chief executive of Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League, Stanley Hondina, said they will, as much as possible, have their athletes vaccinated.
The Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League had their Intercity Cup competition, the Digital Cup, the first organized sporting competition to resume under COVID-19 restrictions in 2020. With the successful completion of the season last year, Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League is adamant at following the government directives. Current CEO of PNG-RFL Stanley Hondina was the general manager of the Papua New Guinea National Rugby League competition, which manages the Digital Cup, and he knows what is expected by the government.
We as a sport, we play some role of advocacy. We have been very strong on government support around ways to implement or ways to abide by the rules and regulations that have been put forth by the controller to control the spread of the virus. And PNG-RFL has been very firm on that. We've passed it on to all our other match games that were played across the country with Digital Cup and others to comply by the Bunnies Protocol document.
With vaccinations now available in the country despite a long-standing COVID-19 vaccine debate in Papua New Guinea, PNG-RFL is being an advocate for the vaccine. And so far, some of the staff of PNG-RFL have been given the jab. PNG-RFL CEO Stanley Hondina says they will make sure they advocate for vaccination.
We also support PNG-LNG and advocate for the vaccine. And a point of case, a couple of our staff have got onto the vaccine to support that and advocate that the vaccine is good for us. And as sport elites, we are taking the lead. We'll be reaching out to the government in the next couple of weeks, and if the need presents itself, we want to get our athletes vaccinated so that we can show the PNG community and the public with the help in essence to support LNG, support the government of PNG to advocate that vaccine is safe and it's good for our people and for our community.
Fidelis Sukina, Trukai Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details after the break.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Moniplus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, cloudy with brief showers and possible thunderstorms in Port Moresby, and cloudy with a few showers easing in Daru, Kerema, Alatau and Popondetta. In the Mamasu region, cloudy with a few showers in Lae, Medang and Vanimo, and cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorms in Wewak. In the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy with a few showers in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo and Kimbe, Rabaul included, and showers and thunderstorms in Buka. And in the Highlands region, cloudy with a few showers right across the region in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kondiawa, Mendi and Wabeg. A look at forecast for small crafts for the next 24 hours. Waters of north of Cape Vogel to Huon Gulf and to Finschhafen, with waters north of Long Island to Medang to Wewak and Aitape to Vanimo, including northern PNG Indonesian border, with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and waters of New Ireland to New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1 meter. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Islands to Kerema to Yule Island and Hood Point to Samari Islands, seas of 0.5 to 1 meter, rising to 2.5 meters along Hood Point to Samari Islands, with waters of Finschhafen through Vitiaz and Dampier Straits to CRC and Long Island, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters, and waters of Samarai Island to Cape Vogel and eastern and western Milne Islands, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. A look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea. Seas slight with southeast to southwest winds of 10 to 20 knots clockwise. In the Solomon Sea, seas smooth with northeasterly winds at 5 to 10 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas smooth with northwest to northerly winds at 5 to 10 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with northeasterly winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And before we go, a reminder, EMTV will go live in tonight's WBA Asia Super Featherweight title bout between PNG's Junior Kaukoraka and Philippines' Roldan Aldea. That will be after 7:30 p.m. tonight. And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Sunday, the 25th of April, 2021. From all of us here at EMTV, have a safe working week. Pleasant viewing. Bye for now.